If you look back far enough, you'll see a time when Drake wasn't taken very seriously in the industry. Sure, Drake was famous, had great albums, and did strike a chord with people, and he had lots of money. But Drake wasn't fully evolved. He was seen as a simp for the type of songs he made, he was seen as being corny, plus he's light-skinned, and people have always associated that with being soft. And let's not forget, he was Wheelchair Jimmy in Degrassi. All these things piled up together were things that really made Drake a laughingstock. I mean, let's not forget the Drake the type of nigga meme jokes. And whenever Drake tried to act tough, he was made fun of, and people always said, "Oh, why are you trying to be hood?" I remember reading a comment on his worst music video where he was in the hood rapping, and someone said, "Who let Drake rent the hood for the day?" Drake, having come from Degrassi, was always assumed to have been rich from the get-go, though Drake has revealed he had his struggles as a kid growing up, even if it wasn't always financial. This was the only thing that was holding Drake back though. He was and is a great artist, and he consistently proved that as he grew and improved in every project, but people just didn't take him seriously yet. See, people like this don't end up becoming bosses. They usually get manipulated a lot. Even with all the fame and fortune that the music industry can offer, there are a lot of people who have these things but are not in control. Remember, fame and fortune does not equal control, and from a lot of people's angles, Drake came off as a person who wouldn't be his own boss, who would have no control with the constant ridicule he was getting. Most of the time, this is the case, unless you're a Claudius figure, where you're like the Roman Emperor Claudius, who was known for stuttering and seeming like an idiot, but was in fact very smart and a competent leader, and only feigned stupidity as a means of surviving a harsh political environment. When Drake was finally taken seriously, he earned more respect, or rather, the respect is what made people take him seriously, which shows the power of respect and its importance, and as a result, he was officially goated. It's as if his career was missing that one ingredient to make it go to the highest point. Now, nobody really makes fun of him that much anymore, if at all, and he is highly regarded and respected. This shows how people are fickle and forget easily. If you can properly shift the story about you, most things can be changed, one of them being how people perceive you. All of this would continue until 2015 came, the year that would test Drake and the year that would make him into the solidified GOAT that he is today. During this time, he got into the beef with Meek Mill. People thought Drake would lose against Meek. I did. Drake was a Pillsbury Doughboy soft ass nigga, and Meek Mill was the freshly released street tough battle rapper who had Nicki, who was supposedly a love interest of Drake. Meek was the Viking and Drake was the Saxon peasant. No way he'd win. Meek had just come off a killer album release as well, so he was rolling off a high. And when he said Drake had ghostwriters, it seemed like it'd be done for Drake. He was already not getting a lot of respect before, so this seemed like this would dead him for sure. But Drake went and pulled a King Alfred and showed that Viking off. When the beef started, Drake released Charge Up. When I heard it, I thought it was gonna be a lukewarm soft ass beef with light jabs and shit was gonna be sweet. Boy was I wrong. Meek laughed at it and didn't even respond to it, being too cocky, arrogant, and idiotic as we would see. This is a classic case, you see. An over-the-top, arrogant foe underestimates their foe, and they lose magnificently because of it. Classic David and Goliath. Drake played on this, something he would do later on again. Drake knew Meek wouldn't do anything, and Charge Up was when Drake was charging up, and he was getting ready. But cocky Meek didn't see this, and we as an audience didn't see this either. Drake then released Back to Back, a savage track that took heavy jabs at Meek and was catchy on top of that. Not only did he get Meek with this track, but he also had a track that would be played everywhere because of its catchiness, which would haunt Meek for the rest of the year. He couldn't turn on a radio, go to a club, which is where Meek frequents a lot, without hearing that track. Meek had to be in silence basically if he wanted peace, which was the ultimate L. Drake stepped up the cleverness with the cover again by having a Toronto baseball team pick where they had won a victory against a Philly team back in '93. And Philly is where Meek is from, and also a back-to-back victory for them as they had won the year before. This is also a play on words for the two diss tracks Drake had released. Meek could have made a comeback, but fumbled it when he released a mediocre diss track, taking jabs at him with the same ammo that his Twitter fingers had written out. "You're a ghostwriter." The people had moved on and nobody cared. Give us something new. Meek didn't even bother releasing a second track, which he could have and at least would have made him come out a little bit better, but he didn't, and Drake won. Drake released If You're Reading This It's Too Late, one of his best records. The album exuberated confidence and cockiness. This album was an amalgamation of all that Drake had become and all he would be from there on, which is a tough, confident, and undeniable legend. In songs like Legend, Energy, Six God, Six Man, Drake shows an aggressive, cocky, arrogant, and confident flow that takes no prisoners. He is angry. He's going back at his enemies and there's nothing they could do about it. He's now victorious, and this is the era where Drake would rap about his enemies and people trying to take him down and how people always underestimated him. Probably from the time when he was seen as a joke and how he would swing back at them now. This album is where we began to see all of that. The production is moody, spacious, dark, and cold like what riding through the sticks must feel like. It's also atmospheric, and the drums range from R&B smooth and slow to bouncy, aggressive, and hyped. Later on, with all the hype, Drake would release Views, which would sell 1 million in his first week, and he was officially goated. The victory he gained from Meek and how well If You're Reading It's Too Late sold really gave him a wave of energy which he built upon beautifully and which he would carry over to his next record release, which then allowed him to sell so much and make Drake an undeniable legend and a man to be respected. Drake would even take advantage of memes made by him and use it to his benefit by making Hotline Bling a meme-worthy video. It's like Tyrion said in Game of Thrones.
Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you.
Now, years later, Drake is one of the top-selling, most respected artists. He's bringing back old classic TV shows like Top Boy and heralding new ones like Euphoria, being an executive for the Toronto Raptors, and much more. And Meek is, well, Meek is Meek. Psych, nah. Meek is doing well for himself, but like the 50 and Ja Rule beef, it's clear to see who came out on top. Things you can learn from this album are: respect is important, and it is in our darkest hours that we can achieve our greatest potential. And wear your insults as your armor, then no one can harm you. Respect is vital. If you are to be seen as a boss, king, queen, lord, or whatever high title you might want to use, even if you aren't aiming for the top either. To walk through everyday life with decency and dignity, respect will always be vital. 2. It's when we face our hardest challenges that we have the opportunity to rise to the highest heights we've seen yet. It's in the dark moments that the treasure which will benefit us the most lie. How hard the resistance is will determine how great the reward is. So keep pushing, especially when things get hard, because you know right over that hump is something incredibly great. Greatness doesn't come without hardness. 3rd, and finally, is to embrace what the world would use against you. They couldn't make jokes about Drake anymore because now he embraced the jokes and there was nothing they could do, and it sucked most of the fun out of it. A classic lesson taught to us all, especially when we were kids, to help us deal with bullies. What was true back then is true now, since the whole world is a playground in a high school, and we all behave more or less the same as when we were kids in terms of pecking order and such. Something I go over in my Atlanta FUBU episode video. Links will be in the description. So all in all, this was Drake's pivotal moment. The moment in the hero's tale where Drake was facing his climax, the worst of the worst, with the odds stacked against him. People deemed him soft and a joke. Though he was famous and had money, those things clearly didn't matter in some areas, since they didn't earn his respect, which is vital for reputation. Something that new age rappers can learn. And he had been accused of not writing his own stuff, something that could have ended his career, even though many rappers do it but don't talk about it. See, being in the industry means you lie a lot and keep a lot of things in the dark. It's what it comes with. And on top of that, he was going against a foe that was an insane challenge, but Drake buckled down, rose to the challenge, embraced what was used against him, and he gained a victory through cleverness and skill, which earned him respect and ultimately allowed him to come out on top. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more videos and analyses just like this.